Hi, I'm Lisa Shield, and this is Emotionally Naked Dating, finding true love with nothing to hide. One of my very dear friends, Peggy, came up with that tagline, and I love it. I've been using it for a long time. So I'm going to brag for a second because it is the beginning of April, and it is 80 frickin' degrees out in Los Angeles, and it's so beautiful. I feel so lucky to be out here doing these videos today. I do a series of them at once. I'm not supposed to tell you that because I change my clothes every time. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you all today about something that's really a very personal and deep piece of my own journey to find the love of my life. And it's not something I talk about a lot because sometimes I think that some people won't, they'll think that I'm idealizing my relationship, or that it really couldn't be as good as it is, or I don't know, but I don't share this story all the time, but now I am. So when I was dating, I was putting myself out in the dating world, and I really wanted to find true love. I wanted to find my true partner. And I didn't, I knew I had this very deep sense that, we're all just human beings and that there are people for everybody, right? Like, it can't be that difficult. And so, but I knew it might take some searching to find the person that was really my person. And so I was in a meeting, or a spiritual group meeting, and we were doing a meditation. And what happened was, in this meditation, I had an epiphany. And I had always believed that many of the spiritual paths are all about getting us to God, what some people call God, or unconditional love. And that seemed where all of these paths were heading, at least the ones that I had been involved in my life. And so I knew that they had this similar theme, right? But the epiphany that I had in that meeting was that they're not just showing us how to, that unconditional love is possible. What they're actually doing is they're giving us the stepping stones to get there. And they're showing us how to do it in this life. So I had always thought, prior to that insight, that you had to be like this ascended master or this idealized being to be able to have this. And suddenly in the meeting, I was like, no, that's not true at all. Like, this is what real, just human beings can attain. And so I'm thinking, well, if that's the deal, then I want it, right? Like, I want unconditional love. That's what I want to go out and search for. And so my dating journey, if we're talking about being intentional about what you're trying to attract, I decided that I wasn't looking for this list of qualities, and certainly I had some criteria, don't get me wrong, but I didn't know who this man was going to be. I'd never seen him before. I'd never been in a relationship like that before, right? And so I just opened myself up to possibility and dating and meeting a lot of different men, because I'd never done that in my life. I'd never sat across from a bunch of men and just gotten to know them. And so that sounded like a really worthwhile thing to do. So many people don't want to date because they don't want to have to go on all these dates and sit across from these guys, but I mean, that felt to me like the right thing to do because I didn't know men very well. I had a lot to learn about myself, about them. Anyway, it was great. But what I realized was I didn't want to look for this list, right? This list, because I didn't know who he was, and I wanted to be really open. And instead of looking for the one or some preconceived notion of who this man was supposed to be, I put all that aside and I said, I am going to look for unconditional love, right? That's what I decided. That, some people might say, well, I want a soulmate, or I want a spiritual partner. I was really searching for unconditional love. That was my intention, my goal. That was the direction I was headed in. And so I started to realize that, to have this, it's like learning how to be forgiving, learning how to be kind, thoughtful, selfless, passionate, compassionate, all of these things. These are the stepping stones, right, to unconditional love. These are the building blocks, not stepping stones, but they're the building blocks. That's what, unconditional love comes from. And so I went on all of these dates. I started to, I put myself online and I started to go on all these dates. And what I realized was that in order to have unconditional love, right? In order for somebody to love me unconditionally, I had to first be willing to love unconditionally. That's how it actually works. I had to be willing to sit across from a man and and say, I can love and accept you exactly the way you are. And if that was reciprocated, that only then could it be reciprocated, with no agenda, no neediness, And so that's what I was like searching for on my dating journey. And, I practiced being more compassionate and kind and communicative and emotionally naked. Like, as I went on my dates, I intentionally wanted to open up those places in me, knowing that the result would be an unconditionally loving relationship. And that really was my intention, and I found it. I went on almost, like I've said in some of these other videos, I went on 96 first dates. And I said a lot of no's, and a lot of people said no to me. But when Benjamin sat down in front of me, it really was a hell yes. And when you can, so that was how, one of the really huge breakthroughs that I had in terms of my search for love. And it had nothing to do with being more feminine or, I don't know what a lot of people make this about. And I do think those are important questions to ask as you're dating. But, the thing I wanted more than anything was unconditional love, or what I call a guardian of my soul. And that's what I can show you how to find. So if you are interested in watching my webinar, you can go to lisashield.com, and it's 45 minutes that will change your dating life and love life. Or if you really just want to have a talk with me, a conversation about possibly coaching with me, then you can go to lisashield.com and you can just skip the webinar. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I send you so much love and light on your journey, and I will see you next time.